Hello, folks. I'm Anirudh here, and I'm here to demonstrate a very short tutorial on how you can model and animate animated conveyor belt on Maya software. So I'm making this tutorial because I couldn't find all the information for this at one place when I was doing my project, and it was quite a stressful thing not to do such a simple thing very quickly. So I'm putting together all the knowledge I have gained over the past few days to just make this animation, and hopefully it will be of help to you. So let's straight away get started. I have Maya open already, and as you can see I have a small cube drawn here, rather elongated, and this will be like the part which will be repeated to look like a conveyor belt, and it will be made to roll like a conveyor belt. So to make this, first we need the approximate shape or path in which the geometry that we see here should move so that it imitates a conveyor belt. So let's get started with modeling the shape. I go to the front view to begin with, and what I do will be I will create a NURBS circle. Be sure to have a lot of control points. I have around 48. Okay, I draw this, and let's first snap it to the grid so that we have it well centered. Okay, there we go. It's snapped, and now I turn on the control vertices, choose approximately half of these. The other half gets chosen because of the symmetric selection being switched on about the x-axis, and now I have created an approximate shape of the belt that I would need. And the next thing that I would do is to rebuild this curve, and the reason is that, as you can see, the control vertices are unequally distributed. They're not equidistant from each other, so what I do is quickly grab this, I change to modeling mode, go to curves, rebuild, so that it has 100 points. I have already preset, so just to be sure what I did, so rebuild, if I click here, you see there are 100 points and the spreading is uniform, so we are good. And the next thing to do is we are using by the way, we are using Mesh Networks, a plugin to Maya 2017 to do this animation. So what we need for this animation is a path about which the object shall animate. We have it already, and we need an aim curve to influence the way they move, or like constraint movement along this path. So to create this constraint curve, let me just duplicate the current curve and then scale it up a little bit so that it looks like it's an approximate offset, or you could alternately offset as well, but for now I go with this method. Then I grab this part and move it approximately near to the curve. Let's first switch off the grid snap, move it approximately near this. Holding down the C key, I will snap it to this curve, and it's done. Well, let's straight away get into mesh networking now. I'll choose this with holding down the space bar, say create a mesh network. It's created, and on this created network there is a distribute mode preset. So I'll say I need 100 points, and distance about which these have to be spread out is 0. And after we are done with the basically instantiating 100 number of these of the object that we need to replicate. So the next thing would be to distribute about the curve that we want as the conveyor belt, or this could also be a tank crawler, sorry. So it's basically anything that rolls about 2 cylinders at each end. So what we do next is we choose the mesh network that we created. Mesh 3 is the one we created. Mesh 2 existed already because I have already created a project before. So with mesh 3 selected, as we can see here, we need a what let's equal mesh 2 for now. So what we need is a curve node on the mesh waiter. So to do that, I press on this and then add a curve node, and let's also add a transform node to add more animation to the curve. We'll come to it very soon now. So firstly, to distribute the geometries along the curve, we have the curve 3 and curve 4 that we have created, and if we click on the mesh curve node, there are two inputs under the curve tab. One is the primary curve about which the object will be distributed. So with middle clicking the mouse, like I choose the circle that I want, and then I just drag it here, so it's already distributed. And I hold and I do the same with the nub circle 4 to be the aim curve, and I'll increase the step here, and there it is. We already have the conveyor belt. And the best part is if you hit on the key and on the play key, it's already animated to move across above this curve. So we are good to go so far. The next thing we would do is to move the entire conveyor belt up and down and tilt and rotate it a little bit. So that's a part of my project. I need the animation to be this way, so I'm just using that as an example to make this video. So we had added a transform node to the mesh network. So what I will do is I'll start setting keys. So at 0, the position is absolutely okay, and so is the rotation, and they shall be the same towards the end. So I just set keys on those, and because we have 240 frames, about 120 is the middle, and let's say like evenly before that at 80, I want the entire setup to move along the y-axis by 150 units. I set a key on that. Sorry, I set a key here, and the rotation also is the way it is right now. And then at about equally after 120 as 80 is about 160 now. So here I'll change the height to be still 150. I set a key on that, and on the rotation as well I set a key. So at 120 the height is exactly what we need, but the rotation shall now be around 15 degrees tilted about its y-axis, and I set a key on that. And let's say in between 80 and 120 that we set the key at about 100. Let's rotate this about the y-axis by around say 30 degrees, and set a key on that, and around at 140 we say we rotated by 30, so let's rotate by 330, so it's the opposite direction of 30 in opposite direction, and at about 120 in the middle, let the rotation be, well, let's leave it at 0 and set a key on that, and let's see, like it's going to be some animation anyhow. So if I go about this, yeah, it's okay. Just to show like all the animations along with the rolling, I'm just putting some random values on the keys. I think it's now good to. Okay, so what happens now is that we have all the animations set. Let's just play to be sure. Okay, it's going up, it's still rolling, it's rotating in all the directions we need, and it's coming back. Okay, so what we do now is if we wanted to export this mesh animation as an FBX, it's not supported by game engines because this animation is procedural and it doesn't fit the FBX framework. So what we would like to do now is like we would convert this to a geometry instance of the animation. To do so, I click on the small file icon and say switch mesh geometry type. So what this does is it creates an instance of the geometry. We are not yet good to go because we haven't baked the animations on the geometry. We just create it because it's not so with mesh network. So let's do it. While clicking on the instance that we created, switch to the animation mode, go to the mesh network and say bake instance to objects. A small window like this pops up, and be sure to have selected all the channels and bake the animation. Let's give it a while. There are 240 frames that it has to go through baking. Still waiting. It's a while before this is finished. As you can see in the background, sorry about having this window in the middle. I cannot move it anymore, but the animation is happening in the background and getting baked. As you can see, the process that's going on now. This looks pretty good. Good. It's rotating, it's tilting, it's moving up. It's now tilted and rotating in the other direction. Of course, you could add more details to this model, like adding two cylinders at the end of the conveyor belts to make it look more realistic, or have a model of a robot that this conveyor belt is part of, or say this is something else that you want. It could be anything, but what I'm trying to show is just the basic modeling and animation of how this could be done. The other ways you could do it on Maya is you instantiate multiple copies of, or like duplicate same object and snap them along a curve, and then like set them to move along the motion path. And that's not as simple as Mesh Network does the same animation, I could say 10 times quicker at least. So, and the other way would be to draw a pipe and then stretch it to look like a conveyor belt, and then deform it with wire deformers, constraint, blah blah blah. So we have the simplest form of animation with mesh, and we are good to go now. As you can see, after the animation is baked, the keyframes have been set perfect, and also there is a group of the instance objects created, and it has all the shapes, like all the 100 cubes that are distributed along the curve. This looks neat. So I just select this and I export it as an FBX file. Give it a moment to export. It's exported. So what we do now is I have opened an instance of Unity. Let's get rid of it. Okay, so let's just keep the old one. Now I will drag and drop the FBX file that we just created. Okay, I have to find it. Yeah, and okay, this is the one we created. Just drag and drop it here to Maya onto Unity. Sorry. There we have the new one, conveyor belt 9. Yes, and now this should play as expected as we saw it on Maya. Let's hope for the best. Okay, it's rolling. Okay, it's moving up. I have reduced the speed of the animation so that we can see everything happening and that it's alright. So let's speed it up a little bit. Okay, now it's like rotating, and it also goes down, and it's repeating, and the conveyor belt is still moving. That's awesome. It's working. The tilting and the rotating is a little crazy in this animation. So just to show you a neater animation, I'll show you one of the previous FBX that I created, very similar to what I showed now, or exactly like I showed now. So this is the one. Here the animation is simpler. Okay, it's rolling, it's moving up, it's tilting, rotating, coming back down. This is perfect. So you can see, like, when I play it at a slow speed, it's rotating pretty good. Okay, it's rotating, tilting. Okay, I think the point has been made. So folks, this is all about how you model and animate a conveyor belt on Maya. I hope you found this video and the tutorial helpful. So let me know in comments what you think of it, and of course please do suggest any improvisations on this, because you guys are really better than I could be ever. The community of modelers and animators and graphic guys here is amazing. I've learned a lot from you guys, and I hope this does stand up as a good contribution to those who want to create simple modeling and animations. So until the next time, ciao.